Should the Eagles be interested in Jadeveon Clowney? Should we have interest in Everson Griffin? How confident are we in this Philadelphia Eagles pass rush? Do we have enough players to generate a consistent pass rush? All right, y'all, stick around. That's what we're talking about today, guys. I'm talking about this Philadelphia Eagles pass rush, y'all. All right, let's get to it. What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever it is you get around to watching this. Once again, guys, my name is Stephen Hyder, and this is Gate City Sports Channel. All right, y'all, today's topic, guys, I want to talk about the pass rush. I have questions, I have concerns. I don't know what we have. We could have something spectacular. We might have a problem on our hand. It's really hard to say right now. We all know you don't need to go back and really study film, although I'm going to show you a couple things today, to really realize that we struggled with the pass rush at times last year. As much as we want to take a crap all over our pass defense, and it was bad, don't get me wrong, it was horrible. There were times where our pass rush disappeared too. And that's just compounding an issue if that happens. So today, I want to take a little time. I want to look at some of the concepts and schemes we were using to get pressure. I want to talk about the larger grand scheme of things. And I want to talk about, should we be a little more interested in guys like Everson Griffin and guys like Jadeveon Clowney to come in here and play defensive end. Now look, we all know this is a matter, even if we do agree with that, there's still a matter of money and contract. Like, I'm not just saying just because we have a need that those are the only two players to go address the need. We can talk about bringing back Vinny Curry back. I mean, there's a lot of different ways of resolving this. But the bottom line is, and the thing I want to talk about today, guys, should we be a little more interested in this defensive end market for free agency? All right, y'all. Let's get to it, man. Roll that film. Okay, ladies and gents, let's just start off by talking about the general context of this conversation, which is, let's just look at the way the Eagles, the moves they've made and what that might indicate to us, right? So what are they signifying to us? Well, to begin with, they clearly were not happy about the pass rush last year. Phillip Daniels, right? Used to be an assistant defensive line coach here. Second straight year in a row, we have let go of our defensive line coach, okay? In replace of Phillip Daniels, we've now elevated a special assistant on the defense, Matt Burke, to defensive line coach. Matt Burke, of course, being a long-time linebacker position coach and then a defensive coordinator who is very familiar with a wide nine scheme. Supposedly a matchup genius. We're going to get into that as I roll a little more into the film. Okay, I'm going to circle back to this. Look at free agency. And I know there's nuance to this, guys. Believe me, I'm not forgetting the nuance of this. Okay? I know that we did originally go out to try to target a certain cornerback by the name of Byron Jones. And when that fell through, then we signed Javon Hargraves. But that's just it. Javon Hargraves was set in a very high precedent and is a very high priority for the Eagles to go sign and acquire. So one of our first free agency move, the place we chose to invest a ton of money, was in another defensive tackle. Okay? That means something. That means the Eagles were incredibly concerned about the interior pass rush. And I'm going to get to some of the things that were happening and get into a larger conversation of that as we go along. But I'm a little more focused now because when I look at the defensive tackle depth, I see a lot of players, I see a lot of guys that can play. I'm not concerned there. We got guys like Fletcher Cox. We got guys like Javon Hargraves. We got Malik Jackson. We got Hassan Ridgeway there, right? Then we have guys like even deeper depth guys like Raekwon Williams, who's an undrafted rookie free agent who I think has a lot of potential and who can play. We have Bruce Hector, Anthony Rush. We are really deep in the interior pass rush. I don't think this translates the same way when we look at the outside pass rush. When we look there, this is currently who's on the roster, guys. We have Graham, Barnett, Sweat, and Avery. I would be willing that those four guys are going to play big roles this year. But then as we get down on the depth chart here, we have Deshaun Hall, who's coming off an injury. He did play a little bit down the stretch, handful of snaps. At times, it seemed like the Eagles even gave a little more consideration to Hall than they did Avery down the stretch. But he's coming off an injury, and we didn't trade away a fourth-round pick to go acquire this kid. Sharif Miller, who was a draft pick last year, basically, for lack of nuance here, he basically redshirted. He really didn't get any kind of significant playing time. He, really know nothing about this kid. Okay? Joe Ostman. We all heard that Joe Ostman was supposed to have a role in this defense, but the role that I was led to believe that he was supposed to play was the role that we just basically went out and traded for Avery to come do. So, is he still a fit here? Then you get a guy like Casey Toolhill. We spent a 7th-round pick on, a deep developmental guy, right? He's on this roster. And then the 9th guy that I found on our roster is a guy who is an Australian player. He's on the NFL's exempt list. I don't know exactly what he's on the exempt list for, guys. I need to look into that, so I'm not sure. But that's Matt Leo. Those are the 9 defensive ends that we have currently on a roster. That concerns me, guys, because Graham and Barnett would be your starters clearly, and Sweat's going to be your 3rd defensive end. Avery would probably be your 4th defensive we rolled in here. I just don't know that this is enough. Now, what I do want to talk about is I want to swing back full circle here, and I want to go back to that Phillip Daniels and Matt Burke conversation I started off with. The reason that I thought I heard for the firing of Phillip Daniels was he just did not play to the matchups enough, okay? And this is what Matt Burke is supposed to do. So what I'm going to do here is I want to run some film, and I'm going to show you what they mean by matchups and the things that they're talking about, okay? So I'm going to roll the film, and I'm going to show you guys a little. Essentially, what this is it's a TE stunt, what they call a Tex stunt. All right. So let's roll into the film. Let's talk a little more in depth. We're gonna do a little voice recording here, a little voiceover.
All right, ladies and gents, time for a little bit of film study. So let's take a look at the basic concepts of this play you see before you. Okay. So what you have here is the first game of the season against Washington. All right. And this is underneath the ideal circumstances. This is when we still have all the players we really wanted from the year still in the lineup. And what you have here is a pretty basic, line set up for the Eagles. Okay? You have, simply put, if you look towards the center of that defense, your zero shade there is Tim Jernigan. Timmy Jernigan's playing a zero shade technique. Your 3 technique is Hassan Ridgeway. So we do have our backups in the game. Now look out to your left defensive end positioning. Who do you have? That's not Brandon Graham. That's Vinny Curry. So we got our 3rd D end in the game, right? Now look all the way over, and you can see that you got Derek Barnett, who's really the only starter in on this play. He is playing kind of, I would call that a 7 technique. Some people will likely call that a 9 technique. It's cool. They're wrong. It's really a 7 technique, but it's not really worth arguing over that kind of stuff, guys. If you look at this alignment, I want you guys to focus in because I'm going to roll some film here in just 1 second. I'm going to roll the film. Watch what Timmy Jernigan does. Look where he attacks that right guard at, okay? He's going towards the outside right shoulder of that right guard. Watch as it kind of runs, guys. See him attacking that shoulder? Why is he attacking that shoulder? Because we are running what is known as a Tex stunt, a TE stunt. Basically, he's setting up Vinny Curry to be the looper, to get him to come through that hole unopposed. Now the right guard, he reads it. He tries to get over. But Timmy Jernigan did such a great job that when the right guard tries to move off of that, the communication isn't there between the right guard and right tackle. And that opens up a window for Timmy Jernigan to walk right into Kirk Cousins and get that sack. These are the matchup things I think the Eagles front office was talking about that they just didn't see enough of, and they want to see more of. And I do think that this will play a large role in the ultimate success of the Eagles. Can we create these type of matchup type things? Can we have these type of defensive movements? Because this will alleviate a lack of a pass rush, right? This will help where guys aren't having to win every single down one-on-one. These type of concepts and these type of schemes will go a long way in helping the Philadelphia Eagles.
So, I guess where we leave off this conversation today is talking about the third and fourth and fifth defensive end role. Are these guys on the roster? Look, Josh Sweat, for all that we can say, look, it was a fourth round pick. This was a kid that was incredibly talented in college, okay? Incredibly talented athlete here. Each season, he has gotten better. His rookie year wasn't a whole lot to write home about, right? But last year, he came on in his second year. He proved to be a pretty effective fourth defensive end for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're asking ourselves, can he step up and fill the void of the third defensive end role? Okay? Go to Avery. He was a fifth round pick that we traded a fourth round pick for last season during the trade deadline. Is Genard Avery going to come in here as a fourth defensive end in a Joker type pass rush situation and be able to provide, the kind of pass rush we're going to need, right? Sharif Miller, we spent a fourth round pick on last year in 2019. He essentially, for a lack of better terms, I know we don't have red shirts in the NFL, guys, but for lack of better terms, he redshirted. We don't know what we got there, but we know we invested a fourth round pick in this kid. Deshaun Hall, who was once a very talented third round pick of the Carolina Panthers, okay? A kid that really flashed in preseason, a kid that flashed in training camp. Can he step in and be someone that can come in and fill in the third or fourth or fifth defensive end role, okay? Keep in mind, Deshaun Hall is coming off a torn ACL, guys, that he suffered in week 17. I just don't know he's going to be right in time for the season to really make an impactful. I mean, guys just aren't right off ACLs the next year back, man. It takes time. You got Joe Ostman. Joe Ostman was supposed to have a role in this football team. It seems like Genard Avery is kind of a similar player. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know when it comes to Ostman. Casey Toolhill, to me, seems like a practice squad candidate. It's a seventh round pick. He's a kid that some analysts are really high on. I haven't had the chance to really dive into this kid to say that I'm one way or the other on this kid, but this is a kid that we drafted, right? Matt Leo. Are any of these kids going to be able to fill in and play the role we need them to play? My gut instinct would tell me we are going to wait and see what these kids can do in training camp, see what these kids can do in the preseason, and then during training camp or preseason, that would be where I would think you'll see the Eagles make a move if we're just not comfortable with that pass rush situation. But these are my thoughts. You already know I'm going to ask you. I want to know, what do you think? All right, guys, leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Should the Eagles be more interested in bringing back a guy like Vinny Curry? Should we be interested in signing a guy like Jadeveon Clowney, Everson Griffin, fill in a veteran pass rusher, basically, guys? Should we have a lot more interest than we're letting on right now? Do we have interest? We just don't want other teams to know. Let me know your comments below, guys. All right, y'all. You know how we close these videos out. We do a little something like EAGLES. All right, y'all. Let's go, Eagles.